What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another great episode of the GOOYOW Now Show. I am, of course, your host, Bob McIntosh, and I am excited to have on my guest, Coach Chasen Chess, here today. Real quick intro. I met him through another connection named Patrick, and I was actually able to speak for his marketing summit not too long ago. I believe it was just a couple months ago at this point in time. And I found through our conversations, he is a wealth of knowledge because he's been doing real estate for a long time. And I know for a lot of us, as we dive into real estate, for many of us right now, especially, and this is what Chasen, I think we'll dive into is, as we go into this different time than we've experienced since really the crash in 8, 9 and those times, marketing will become even more important because obviously we need to get more deals. And this guy is a master of marketing. He knows a lot about it. And you know me, or if you're on this, if you're watching this show on the live, or if you're dropping on the podcast, you know that I geek out on marketing. So I always love having a fellow marketing person on because we can really dive into some really cool things. So so I'm excited to have him on. Like I said, I know he's a wealth of knowledge, and I won't steal any more of his thunder from there. So, Chasen, thank you for being on. I appreciate it.
I need a background or a sound of thunder. Big thunderstorm. Hey, Bob, it's absolutely a pleasure being with you and everybody that's listening and tuning in right now. So I'm a person, one of my themes in life is show me how to serve. I wake up every morning, do my affirmations, do my meditations, and part of my one-page affirmations is I live in gratitude and I am here to serve. So today I'm here to serve you guys in any way I can. As Bob mentioned, I've been in real estate since the dinosaurs, where we were buying land for the dinosaurs. So I have a little bit of knowledge here and there. So if I can share a bit or two that helps you guys make more money and do it easier and lead a better life and reach your goals faster, that's what I'm here for.
That's perfect. And I think that mental attitude is very, very beneficial long term. I know it's funny, for a long time, I won't say that I wasn't living in a serving mindset, right, necessarily, but I didn't necessarily have a focus on it either. And so I think having that is great. So for those who don't know anything about you, tell us a little bit about your experience, your history, and kind of how you got into real estate, doing what you're doing.
Well, it all started when I was a child. My mother, no. First of all, I have to let everybody know that I've been called animated. I've been called a smart ass. I've been called all kinds of words like that. So get used to it, because if you don't like that, c'est la vie. We are here. We're going to have some fun. When did I get in real estate? First of all, background. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 25 years old. I'm in my 60s now. So I have been around, like I said, since the dinosaurs. And my whole background was business and marketing. And I'll tell you a quick story about Brendan Burchard, if you remember that name. I was chatting at a cocktail party at one time, and I said, Brendan, this is in his early days, 7, 8 years ago. He was doing quite well for himself, and he becoming what I call the junior Tony Robbins. And I said, Brendan, what do you attribute your relatively rapid rise to, being popular and making some good money and all the other good stuff? He goes, Chase, real easy. I've always had coaches and mentors. And one coach changed my life one time. He asked me 2 questions. He goes, Brendan, how many books do you read a year? And he thought for a second. It goes like, maybe 25, 30, which is way above average. And he goes, okay, now tell me the themes of what you read. You read a bunch of novels or stuff like that, romance novels? No. He said, I read mainly personal development and marketing and business. He goes, so Chasen, and he said, okay, Brendan, I'm going to give you a challenge. And I challenge everybody listening in right now. If you want to be the best of the best of the best, you have to be the top percentage of 1% of people in your field. And I'm going to challenge you to read a book a week, 52 books a year. Because if you do that in a year or two, you're going to know so much more than pretty much anybody else out there. Somebody gets 52 books in a year. Wow. So he goes, Chasen, I'm going to ask you the same questions. How many books do you read a year? And I'm a pretty strong reader. And I also read rapidly because I've taken speed reading courses. So I said, about the same thing as you, Brendan. I read about 25, 30 books a year, and it's mainly business, personal development, marketing. And he goes, great, you're on the right track, Jason. I challenge you, and I'm challenging you listening in or tuning in right now today to our podcast today, not ours, but Bob's podcast today, to do the same thing. I chose consciously not to own a television. So every evening I'm not watching TV or stuff like that. I am reading. I'm reading 2-3 hours every night. So I can usually blow through a book if I want to in anywhere from 2 to 4 hours. So that's helped me gain great knowledge, and a lot of that knowledge is in business and marketing. So that's my background. I got in real estate in 1991. I had owned some health clubs in Los Angeles. I had sold my stock and moved out of the area. I was looking for the next journey of my entrepreneurial journey. And I said, what can I do? What's relatively easy to capitalize? And it really has no glass ceiling to it. And I thought, real estate sales. I've always been in business and sales. So I got licensed in 91. Within 6.5 years, I put myself in the top 1% of real estate agents in the country. I was living in San Jose. That price range was a little bit higher there, so it was a little bit easier. But still, you're in the top 1%, you're doing something right. And most of it is because of marketing. In real estate, there's the old saying, location, location, location. My attitude is,
right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's still true. But in the real estate investing world, I call it marketing. And that applies to any entrepreneur, let alone real estate investors. So if you're doing all the right marketing, then you're doing something right, because you can't help but, if you're having successful marketing, to fill your pipeline of leads. If you've got that, most people starve and fail in real estate, either sales or investing, because they don't have leads coming in. They can't find the leads. If the marketing finds the leads, you got 1, 2, 3 leads coming into your website because of your marketing every day. You might be fortunately buried in time to make sure you're contacting all these people on an ongoing basis through your CRM. That's a whole other story. We'll get into that later. So I've been doing the real estate business 31 years from a realtor. And then about almost 20 years ago, I segued into real estate investing. I've done over 350 total transactions between wholesales and flips and subject twos and everything like that, and sales. And so I live here at the beach. My theme is beach. That's why I wear beach shirts and have a beach background. I've manifested an amazing life for myself because I live here in Southern California, in San Diego, at the beach. And I'm just a very happy camper, and that's why I'm here to help today. Bob, next.
No, that's perfect. And I think for a lot
during that opening segment,
I'm not sure if you did or not, but hey, it flowed well. So let's roll with it. I like it. No, and I think that's important, right? So one of the things that I want everyone to take away is, hey, you've been in real estate for a long time. Obviously, you've done other things as well. So that, other forms of entrepreneurship always are going to inform and help you make better decisions in the next venture that you go down. But being in the market for a long time is there. So I'd like for you to expand a little bit. You said, the location was always the adage, but you're saying, hey, maybe it's actually more marketing. So dive in more. Like, what does that really mean for you? And how do you, I guess, live or breathe that marketing aspect into your current business?
Well, first of all, I'm going to do a quick little plug. With your permission, I have this coming out in the first quarter of this next year. If you guys want to take a screen capture of that, the Millionaire Marketing Whisperer, Stealth Strategies for Real Estate Investors. If you Google or go to Amazon, whatever, did you get that? Click, screenshot, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that comes out like in the first quarter. I found that there was no really good book for real estate investors, that particular, small niche, on marketing. Everybody talks about, how to buy and the contracts and working with realtors and determining the comps and your repair list and all this stuff. There's all kinds of books and podcasts and things out there. But other than like you and I, Bob, we are marketing focused. So that's, like I said, coming out. So you actually go to my website, reimarketingsuccess.com, and put your name in there to get an advance, be on the advanced list for that. So like I said, what I always talk about, failure rate in real estate investing. You and I have both gone through a certain group and course here in San Diego with some great training there, and I appreciate that. I'm a sponge for knowledge, and so, but I just found that there wasn't that much great content out there specifically for real estate investors in the marketing. So that's why I'm writing the book. So it's a failure rate. The failure rate is I call it the MEM formula. And first M is for money. A lot of newbie investors, I'm not sure listening in or tuning in right now, if you're thinking about getting into real estate investing, or you're relatively new to it, or you've been in for a few years and you've done a few deals, but you want to scale bigger because there's a glass ceiling in real estate investing. You can make nothing, you can lose money, or you can make as they say, a shitload of money in real estate investing. I like the latter one, but that's so much dependent on your marketing. I tell people you can be average at talking with sellers to find out the motivation, try to buy the house from them. You can be average at doing your comps. You can be doing average at doing your repair list and working with contracts, stuff like that. But if you're really good at your marketing and you have 1, 2, 3, 4 or so methods or avenues in your marketing, and you have this pipeline that's always full, and you get every time you go to the office to check your CRM that you're going, oh my God, here's three new leads that came overnight. Because one reason, the second one, is money. Number 2 is education. Too many people don't spend the time getting a decent education in real estate investing, and they wonder why they fail. Duh. You think you want to make a lot of money, but you're not willing to invest in a coach or in training. And good training in real estate investing is somewhat expensive, but the good news is the ROI, the return on investment, is very high when you're working with high quality content. Bob's show is always providing great information about all aspects of real estate investing, especially marketing. The last M is for marketing. So you're probably not going to fail, which happens to I've heard between 85 to 90% of people who try to get into real estate investors fail, and some of them unfortunately lose a fair amount of money. If a deal goes wrong, it's real easy to lose $5, $10, $25, $100,000 in real estate investing, let alone the litigation that could cost you another $25,000 to $50,000. And I'm not in any way being negative. I'm trying to provide you with some information, a formula that you can follow. You have to make sure that you can get the money. And yes, there are ways. Talk to our mutual friend, Amy Majori. She's the expert in, I'll repeat the name, Amy Majori, Mahjoory. Is that right, Bob? Amy Majori?
Yes, I believe so. I always spell her last name wrong, but yes,
right.
I'll tag her in this video when we go through, so she knows.
Okay. But she was fortunate. I had her on my summit of a month or so ago. And Amy's just a plethora of information about finding and getting money to do your deals. So that's the money thing. Second thing is education. People don't spend the time getting the basics of the education. They think, oh my God, I've watched these TV shows on HGTV. Hello, HGTV, I love you. But they simplify everything because it's an entertainment channel. And it's not necessarily an education. Getting a PhD in real estate investing is what you really kind of need. That's the education part. The last part, once again, is the marketing. And that's with the book and all the stuff that, like Bob is providing with all of his content, because he is so brilliant in his marketing methods and sharing of all his information too. So when you get all those combined, the money, the education, and the marketing aspect, you have like about a 99.999% chance of being very successful in real estate investing. The reason people don't is because they don't use the MEM formula, and they said high dropout rate, 85 to 97% within the first year of trying to be a real estate investor. So that's the big picture.
Yeah, and I think that's so true. I remember, so I for a while I taught a 2-day marketing event for local investors. So we come to your local market, we show you, hey, this is how marketing works in your local area, and a lot of it's the same no matter what area you are on. There's obviously some nuances here and there, but you can apply a lot of the same techniques here and there. But one of the things I would draw out for everyone, and I remember this very vividly, is like, look, this is your lead funnel, right? And you got potentials, you got actual leads, you got people you're talking to, people we look at their property and deals you buy. And I said, if you get good at the top of the funnel, the bottom of the funnel becomes much easier. And I remember talking with a guy one time, and he's like, yeah, I got my contractor to drop his price from $40,000 this rehab to $29,000. I was like, okay, so you saved, $11,000, which is great. Don't get me wrong. Like, that's straight money going to your pocket, but I'm guessing you probably had to beat the crap out of the guy to get him down that price. He's probably not super happy about it. I said, so you made an extra $11,000. All right. What's your profit on this deal going to be? He's like, about 35,000. I was like, okay, so that's a solid deal, right? I said, now what would happen if you, instead of spending, What's that?
So it depends on where you live.
Yeah. Well, yeah. He lived in a lower price market, like average home price, like 250,000, 300,000, somewhere in that range. So, pretty good.
Yep.
Um, and so, um, in this case, I was like, okay, so you make 35,000 on one deal, you hammered your guy down for 11,000. What if instead of hammering him down, you spent all that time focused on marketing, and you were able to get one extra deal that you made, in factoring in your 11,000 that you would have lost on this one. So maybe you only make, 25,000 instead. You still almost doubled the amount of money you made by focusing on the top of the funnel versus the bottom. And I think that's something that a lot of people get backwards, in my mind, at least anyways. It's like, hey, if you can get really good at marketing, that's where the benefit is going to drive all the rest of the aspects of your business.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I feel that so many, especially newer real estate investors, since they have so few leads coming in, they become desperate. And I also relate this to real estate agents. If there are any real estate agents / investors on the tuning in right now, is that because of it's the same. Robbins Research a few years ago did a survey. 86% of realtors are out of the business within 18 months. And because real estate sales is very similar to real estate investing, because you have to know contracts, and you have to know the communications and the skills and the sales ability, let alone all the other working with title and other realtors and the inspectors and everything else. It's very similar to real estate investing, because they're in the same house. It's a duplex in the same house. So and they don't do their marketing either. All of a sudden, when they get their license, they go to all their friends and say, hey, I got a real estate license. I got here. I'm thinking about selling a house, or I need to buy a house. They do that and they get the first deal done. But during that whole time, from the contact point to the actual closing, could be a minimum of 1 to 2 months, and maybe as much as several months. I was on fire when I first got my real estate license. I got one deal done in my first year. But I got a coach, and that made all the difference. And I was a good listener, and I closed this up and used both these puppy dogs. And I said 6.5 years later, I was in the top 1% of agents in the country. So my first suggestion is, not because Bob and I both have coaching businesses, hire a coach, because the coach knows what everybody needs to do. So instead of you spending so much time reading all the books and listening to all the podcasts and the contracts and the scripts and the sales and the comps and everything else like that, work with your coach, and the coach is going to shrink your time down to a month or 2 or 3 instead of maybe a year or 2 to get it to know as much knowledge, because they know what to do, what not to do. So people always come up to me at conferences when I'm speaking or whatever, and they're going, Chasen, if you could do it all over again, what would you do different? I would hire a coach from day one, because Absolutely. They become your partner, not only from the ME, the education perspective, but also helping you find the money, helping you do all the marketing. And you're most people starve because they don't get a first deal done the first 6 months to a year, because they don't know enough. And there's the whole mindset fear factor, which I work on too with my clients, that when you have somebody by your side that has this plethora of information, your confidence level goes up, and that person is also your accountability factor, going, this is your homework, I want this done by next week. And you're going, oh my God, the coach says I got to do this. And all of a sudden you're writing contracts left and right. And all of a sudden you get in the contract in maybe a week or 2 on a good property, because there are certain methods to do that, marketing methods to do that. And then all of a sudden you might have a deal in the contract in 2-3 weeks, versus a year or 2, you would probably have dropped out and failed by that time. So I can't emphasize enough, if you're going to spend your money getting a PhD, a master's or PhD, not literally, in real estate investing, hire a good coach. It'll be the best money you can invest in.
Yeah, I totally agree. So let's talk a little bit more about actual marketing then. So right now, given the current conditions, market, what we see, what do you feel like is some of the best, most effective, or even cost-effective marketing that someone could execute? Because there's lots of different kinds of marketing, right? Like that we just published as part of this group, 117 places to find property. So there's a lot out there, but not all of them are created equal. So from your perspective, what are some of the better ones that people should be focused on?
I've never been asked that question before. And that is one of the most, that is one of the most profound questions that during an interview that can be asked, because as if you're newer to the real estate investing field, you're going, oh, God, I'm just kind of lost in space. Where do I even begin? And I said, there's all that intimidation and fear factor going, oh my God, I'm afraid of screwing up and getting a lawsuit and losing money. I said, that I'm off the coaching bandwagon. It is for information only. Yes, I am a coach. Bob's a coach. Two great people to do, but it's not a pitch. It is literally the smartest thing you can do is do that. Getting to, here I have my chapters of my book, and I've actually kind of green lined the ones that are the most important to me, because here's like 51 chapters in the book at this point. And everybody says, here, another mistake they make when you get into the MEM, the money part. It's not the money to find the property and pay for the properties and get them under contract. It's the money that, unfortunately, too many newer entrepreneurs, and that's a mistake in itself. When you're a newer entrepreneur, you don't know what you don't know. You have to have enough money. I always express to people that are thinking about getting into real estate or in the newer phase, I said, how much money do you have capital to capitalize your business? And many times I get kind of deer in the headlights, like, huh? Type thing. And that's okay, because everybody's a new entrepreneur at some time in their life.
We all start in that same point of like, wait, what do you mean?
Like, I have no idea what the flip I'm doing. Where do I even begin? So my first thing is bandit signs. Because what I'm gonna talk about for the next couple of minutes is to find marketing methods to use that are low cost and as high ROI as possible. So you're going to invest an average bandit sign, you're going to probably order 25 to 50 at the get-go, banditsigns.com, whatever. Just do a Google search on bandit signs. You can probably buy them, including the 8 stakes that go in. I don't want to go into too many details because I don't want to get as much marketing information as I can do it. But bandit signs are dirt cheap. Number one, watch out for liability, because a lot of cities have ordinances, sign ordinances, and they have the sign police out there. I know, I've been called many times.
Ask me how I know this.
Yeah, ask me how I know this. So be careful, because I always want everybody to be in the realm of legality. So you don't want to get fined. You don't want to go to jail. The sign police are not going to send you to jail. That's the good news. So bandit signs are usually maybe have them custom printed. We buy houses with the case may be, and a phone number. The name of your company doesn't really matter. You really don't want that on there. You just want we buy houses and a phone number to go to. I want the phone number going to a recording. So you never pick up that line live, because if it is the sign police, they're going to ask you like, hey, they're giving you notice that you can't do this. And so just, so make it go to a recording. And here's some details, some tricks of the trade in bandit signs or the signage. If you don't know bandit signs, these are the plastic corrugated signs. Do the plastic ones because sometimes it rains, sometimes it snows. You want to make sure that it's not going to be destroyed. And these things are usually 18 by 24. And because they're corrugated, they're solid on the both sides, and do both sides, back and front. They have H stakes that go into it. And you just stick those in the ground, or you can carry along with you kind of a smallish ladder that brings you up, to the sign. Is maybe on a telephone pole with a good a commercial stapler type thing, and put it so high that the sign people have a really hard time getting the sign down, because usually if they do go, they'll go out and collect your signs and throw them away. It's the cost of doing business. If you put them on a telephone pole or so this up high where they can't reach it, they have a much harder time doing it. So once again, if it's your law, you choose whether you want to abide by the law or try to find what the attorney said at one time, always look for the loophole. So getting out bandit signs. The bandit signs are cheap. They're relatively effective. Where you put them, when you put them out, is really important. The signage police are only out there. They work 9 to 5 like most governments. They don't work on Friday night through Sunday night. So the smartest thing I learned was to put the signs out on a Friday night after 5 o'clock and then take them down. It's a little bit more labor intensive, whether you're doing it, you're hiring somebody, a local high school kid or somebody else to do it for you. You take them down on Sunday evening after sunset because there you don't see as much, it's dark, you can't see them. So, and do that every week on a consistent basis on high traffic intersections. And you can't help but have people call you. Yeah, you always have on your recording, the number it goes to, always goes to recording and always has a caller ID, hint, that you can track where the call comes from, because sometimes people won't leave a message, but you track the caller ID. You can always call them up from a different phone. So if you do happen to call the signage police people, you can just go ahead and you can hang up, and they usually don't have a caller ID function in their phone system. So to get around that. So that's, once again, do what you feel is right and legal and legitimate. If you don't feel comfortable, if you do have signed things, don't do it. But a lot of investors have made bajillions of dollars by stupid $2.50 sign bandit signs out there. So my first suggestion is use bandit signs because it's so cheap and it's relatively effective. There's always the effectiveness level versus the cost level. You can spend a ton of money on Facebook ads and Google ads. That's another marketing method you can use. But that, here's your cost level. You get into some deep money there. And there's all kinds of other more expensive ways to go. But my attitude is, this question is, how can I, as affordably as possible, since I'm new or newer or want the highest ROI, if you get the stake, get the sign, you put it out there, somebody calls, and you do a wholesale for $10,000 or a flip for $25,000, $35,000. What's the ROI, return on investment, on that? Oh my God, it's crazy. So starting out here. Number two, other part of your infrastructure, and this is getting back to your capitalization. I never finished that question. I'll go there real quickly. Most entrepreneurs, and not just real estate investors, they fail because they are undercapitalized. In that first MEM, the money part, money to buy the houses, but you also have to have money to run your business. So many people are, they work the 9 to 5, they're working a job, and they're trying to do real estate investing on the side because they haven't got enough money to capitalize their business to do it right. So I always tell people, when I meet them at conferences or whatever the case may be, I always ask them, how much money have you saved that you can invest in your business? And they're going, well, maybe $500 to $1,000, maybe $2,000, maybe $5,000 on the higher end. And that's fine. But the more money you have to capitalize your marketing and your business and creating the infrastructure to have the leads come into and track the leads with you through your CRM, et cetera, you need some money to be able to do that. A lot of people think, really? I didn't think about that. That's all, and it should be in your business plan and in your marketing plan. So, and that's a whole nother hint, marketing plan, business plan in writing. There's your homework. Then you get into the second question is a two-part question on the money thing. Do you have enough money saved to, if you can quit your job, you have an extra, how much money do you need to pay all your bills on a monthly and then yearly basis? Do you have enough money saved to not only fund and capitalize your business, do you have enough money saved to live on while you get this thing going? Because too many people, there's only so much time in the day. If you don't want to work 40 hours and you work a job and then another 20, 30, 40 plus hours in your business, then you get so burned out that you might fail because
very
of that.
quickly.
Very quickly. Yeah, very quickly. So that's, once again, another reason why people fail, MEM, money, education, and marketing. So, because they haven't got all this stuff planned out. Once again, hint, written business plan. And as part of that, your biggest section should be your marketing plan, which we're talking about today. Next, two things. You have to have a website. Bob, do you know anybody that creates websites for real estate investors?
I just so happen to know a couple people. And by a couple people, I mean me and my business partner. Right. Who'd have thought?
And this is a BM that might be in that realm. In other words, I'm hinting, if you don't know Bob that well, yes, you guys have a website building business, right? That mainly for real estate investors. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is.
Bob, love this guy. He's smart. Take advantage of him. So you have to have a website. How are you going to create all these leads from your banner signs, whatever other marketing tools you're going to be using? You have to have this funnel that Bob talked about. As part of this big fat funnel, you have all these different marketing tools set up in the beginning, and start, hint, hint, start with only one or two or three, like banner signs, making sure as part of your infrastructure, your business infrastructure, that you have a website that's really well done. Well done. Don't skimp on hiring a good website developer that specializes in real estate investing. Bob, go to Bob. One part of that is, I ask people, do you have a CRM? And sometimes I get a deer in the headlights on that one too. CRM, customer relations management, is a software tool that you can buy. There are free ones out there. Just Google CRM for real estate investors. It's a more specified in that arena. And now, Bob, as I recall, once again, I don't have a photographic memory. Do you have a CRM as part of your website development program?
Yes, yeah, we can offer a CRM and a website because I know how important it is. Like he was talking about that funnel, right? You got all these marketing up top. Well, what do you do with all these leads? How do you keep track of it? How do you make sure something doesn't fall through the cracks and you lose out on a potential opportunity that could be 10, 20, 30, $50,000? And that's where that CRM is going to come in handy.
And for those of you not knowing what the CRM, it basically is an application, software program that tracks, I call it my Chasen, here's what you're doing today, GPS. Every morning you go into your office, or wherever your home office or an office, and you pull up your CRM, it tells you, Chasen, here's what you're doing today. Here's all the people you need to follow up on, because as you start your marketing, your list of people that you're marketing to is growing and growing and growing every day. So when you first start out, you might only have one or two or three people in your CRM that you need to follow up with, because once again, hint, hint, you think naively, some people think, oh my God, if somebody called from a bandit sign, they want to sell their house right now, this hour, and I'm going to make $50,000 on it. It doesn't work that way. You have to build.
If only funnel. It did, though. If only it did.
Oh, that's why they created lottery tickets. Ding, ding, ding. No. So anyway, the point is, you have to build up all these leads coming in, because rarely does somebody get hold of you through your website, your website, your market stuff, and you contact them, and sometimes they might even contact you directly if it's set up that way, and says, oh my God, Chasen, I'm in a desperate situation. I just inherited a house. It's a probate situation. I'm ready to get married. I want to have my bride. I'm ready to ask her to marry me, but I want to buy her a really nice ring, and I want to take her on a really nice honeymoon. And I'm talking about going to Europe for 3 weeks, and that's going to cost us about $25,000. The ring gets about $25,000. So I am motivated. I need to sell my house that I just inherited for free as quickly as possible. Can you help me out? And you're going type thing, and it doesn't happen. It's once in a rare moon does that ever happen. When it does, you just go ka-ching. But you have to build up all your leads, which goes into your CRM. So when you start every morning, it tells you exactly what you're doing that day. You need to call this person, because you build up this list. And after a month or 2 or 6 or so, you might be contacting you, or hint, hint, delegation, one of my favorite words, have salespeople when you get to the point that you can, if you have the capitalization to hire great salespeople that can be on a commission basis only, hint, hint, that they get paid when you get paid. That's a whole other infrastructure perspective. But somebody has to be contacting these leads on an ongoing basis, because many times a lead comes in on January 1st and they aren't ready to go until August 30th. And if you're not staying in touch with them with phone calls and emails and texting and going, here's going on, then you want to be top of mind. So when they're thinking, oh my God, I got to contact somebody that I want to sell my house to, Chasen knew, this guy knew what he was talking about. He's really nice. He has the experience. He seems really legitimate and authentic. He's not going to try to rob me like some real estate investors. Don't rob people. Give them a fair deal. Don't be avaricic, I think is the word. Don't be greedy. Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. Old farm saying. So give them a reasonable deal. Make a good profit on it, but don't rape somebody, because that's just tacky. Too many investors out there do that. So right, your CRM tells you everything what to do. And so versus, quick story, when I first got in real estate, I CRMs really weren't out there, because that was like 1991. And so there's another newer agent than myself. We were working in the Bay Area around in San Jose. And so I had what I call my black box. It was literally a little black box, metal box for index cards. And that was my CRM at the time. And I would call, I was doing cold calling and door knocking and all kinds of stuff to get my real estate business, sales business off the ground. And she was doing the same thing, but she had a black box, but she never followed up. My black box was basically 1 through 31 and January through December. So every day I would come in and I look at that day as like, December 20th, whatever today is, and say, here are these little index cards with their name, their address, their phone number, emails weren't around them. Nobody's using them. So, and then I would contact them, follow up, and right place, right time. So I asked her, it was like 6 months into, I said, no, I've been luckily doing it. I was the number one listing agent of my agents, around 35, 40 agents in my office in the first 6 months of my business. But they weren't selling because it was a down market, whole other story, but I had the most listings of anybody else because of all the follow-up. I asked her, I said, Nellifer, how's yours doing? And she goes, Jason, I just had yesterday. I have all these leads. And she showed me her black box. It was stacked full of index cards. She goes, I made the mistake of not calling them back. I was so focused on calling, and creating new leads that I forgot to call them back. I started calling people back just this last week. And of the, whatever leads I had, I talked to 8 people that ended up selling their house, and they didn't use me because I forgot to call them back. And she almost this close to dropping out of the business. She was so depressed because it's all about follow up, and that's what your CRM does. So those are the 2 basics in your infrastructure. Your business, having a great website, right, Bob, and your CRM, right, Bob. Go to that guy; he'll make it happen. So, so there we go. What's next?
Yeah, no, I think this is perfect. And we're kind of approaching our time limit. So I want to be respectful of everyone's time because we know what they come in here for. No, but this is good. And guys, something I want to reiterate real quick, because I know some of you watching or listening may be more experienced investors who've been doing this for a while, but I want you to ask yourself right now, are you doing bandit signs or not? And if not, why not? Right. And there might be a legitimate reason. Maybe you tried it in the past, it didn't work. Maybe you try it again. Like he was saying, it's pretty inexpensive. Just buy a few, throw them out, see what happens. Right. What's the worst case? You don't get any more deals. Okay. It's a sunk cost at that point in time. But the reality is, if you put them out there, you're likely to get some phone calls. It always works. And then the second question to ask yourself is, am I using a CRM and website to their, and when I say using, if you either A, don't have one, obviously you need to stop for a second and go, why? Or B, if you have one, ask yourself, am I utilizing it to the right effect? Is all the things that Chasen just talked about, am I doing those things? Am I following up? Am I executing all those things? And if not, then the question is, why not? And like anything, right? Get help. If you need my help or my team's help, reach out. You need his help, reach out. Like that's the whole point of this. The coolest thing I think about real estate when I look at it as the bigger picture is that it's one of the few businesses where we all truly can help each other in an effective way. Like some businesses, right? It's like, no, like my competition is my competition. And if I help them, I'm losing. Like there is some businesses where that's the case, but real estate is not that way at all. Right. Because there's plenty of times where I can buy a deal from you. You could buy a deal from me. I don't have time for this, or I don't have the budget or the capital or the whatever. Right. And so we all can actually help each other grow. And the better that we do that together, the more we all grow. And that's part of what this show is not just to say, hey, let me bring on awesome people with great knowledge like we just had right here and experience, but also to say, hey, who can I plug into? How do I learn more? How do I grow? So that in his, as you're saying, your MEM formula, education, right? It doesn't have to always be a coach or a formal training program. Sometimes it can be something as good as this. It can be a book, like he was saying, read a bunch of books. Lots of ways to get education. The most important thing is to focus on education and the aspects that are going to improve and move your business forward. So, Chasen, thank you so much for sharing all this information. I think this is great. And I think, even for some of you who might have been around for a while, you might say, oh, this seems basic. I would ask you and challenge you, how are you doing on your fundamentals? Because that's really how you're going to do that. Like, look at every successful sports team. And one of the things most of their coaches have them focus on is the fundamentals. Why? Because if you master those, you're going to master the game all the time. So, Chasen, thank you.
Great words of wisdom.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks for being on. Truly appreciate it. Where can folks check you out? I mean, obviously, I know you said your book's coming out, and go to REI marketingsuccess.com. Is that the correct site?
Yes, reimarketingsuccess.com is my website. There's all kinds of information there. You can plug in, go into the book tab, and you can actually sign up. We'll get an email creating a list when the book is released in the first quarter of this next year, which is right around the corner. We will notify you, and it's going to be all. I'm using Amazon Print on Demand, so you can get it like a couple of days. So you can go there. And my generic email address is my name, Chasen, and it's spelled, well, you see it on the screen there, Chasen Chess. Go to chasenchess.com, or you can go to chasen@chasenchess.com for my business. That's where you can get hold of me, and that's it. I'm all over Facebook, all over. You can Google me, I show up and stuff like that. So I'm about ready to start a whole new video cast. It's being called REI Marketing Minutes. So that'll be launching in January, and it'll be short, succinct, 1 to 5 minutes, jumping in on every aspect of marketing. So I'm just kind of taking all the information from the book and narrowing it down to just little chunks that you can, we live in a microwave, got to have it yesterday society. So it's tidbits that are powerful and succinct. So that comes out in January too. It'll be on YouTube under REI Marketing Minutes. So yeah, once again, I'm here. I've helped you listening in today or watching today provide some kind of information that's helpful to your business. And so thank you, Bob, so much for having me on so I can share.
Absolutely. Thank you. And for each and every one of you listening to the podcast, watching the live cast in the group, truly appreciate you having here. As always, your time is the most valuable thing you can share. So I appreciate it. I do only have one favor, one payment you can make for listening to this, and that's go tell a friend. Let them know about this show. If you're like, hey, man, they're wanting to get into real estate, they're thinking about it, or they're struggling with their marketing, share this episode with a friend. Let them know to come join the group and check it out. If you're not a part of the group, hop in as well. As always, it's a great community of awesome people sharing knowledge, information, and growth. And look, at the end of the day, this is a totally free thing that we do. Chasen wasn't paid to be here. I'm not, getting paid to be here. It's not like I obviously my company does this kind of stuff. We put it on, but at the end of the day, this is to help you guys grow, because I know, as does he, that if we help each other grow, it will reciprocate back. As he talked about at the beginning of, actually, I think it was the beginning of this episode, talking about a servant mindset, right? How can I serve? We talked about a lot of things, so I'm hoping I'm getting all right. That servant mindset. And I think that's always a great way to look at things. So I'm excited for this to pop out. And as always, thank you all for tuning in. Chasen, thank you for being here. Truly appreciate your time.
Pleasure. Once again, here to serve. Guys, go out and rock it. Make 2023 your best year ever. You can do it. Make it happen.
Love it. Take it easy, everyone. Have a great week, and we'll see you again on another episode next week.